starts to slow down at the age of 40 to 50 years old. Your balance systems start to change at the age of 40 to 50 years old, and they keep getting worse. So it's not just something you do once, but you should do it annually because your body continues to change year to year as you get older.
If you need physical therapy for any reason, choose the place that your friends and neighbors do. MRS Physical Therapy, located in Stone Point Landing in Bridgewater, or Cranberry Physical Therapy on Route 19 in Cranberry. For more information, call Dale Reckless today at 724-728-7550 or visit mrsphysicaltherapy.com.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the Best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the Best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com. You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls. Welcome to the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas, a weekly segment dedicated to putting the focus on the amazing things and the amazing people behind them in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is sponsored by and content is provided by St. Barnabas. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. Now, with no further ado, let's welcome host Mike Romai to introduce today's program.
There are just so many exciting new things going on in Beaver County. On the Best of Beaver County, we like to introduce them to you, and I can promise you this is a show that I've never done before in more than 30 years in this business. Never, ever have I talked to anybody about throwing axes. That's right, axe, A-X-E. We would have them in the studio with us now to demonstrate to you, but there's something about insurance that doesn't allow us to bring sharp objects into the studio. So we've invited KRISTIE Martel. She is one of the owners of Beaver County Axe Throwing, located on Brighton Avenue in Rochester. KRISTIE, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
It's good to see you. Now, if you position yourself for there
Okay.
you go. There's the beaver and the axes.
That's right.
That's quite a logo that you got
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah. Did you come up with that?
So we wanted a surly beaver. This was a conversation. Should it be cute? Should it be surly? And the two other male owners decided surly, and I think they made the right choice. So, yep.
Just surly beaver. You heard that right. Okay.
That's right.
So how many owners are there?
So there are three of us. There's myself, my husband, and then our friend, Tim.
Okay. All right. So how did you hatch this idea? We all sitting around drinking one night, and somebody's, you're throwing darts. Say, darts, those are for sissies. Let's throw axes.
Right. Great question. So my husband and I had gone axe throwing before. Okay. And when we went, we were there with our teenage kids and my mother-in-law and her husband who were in their 70s. And we had such a good time doing this new thing that we'd never done before, and it was intergenerational. And my husband and I also own 4 rental properties, including the building that we're in now with the axe throwing. But the commercial space had been vacant the whole time, and we had offered it to other businesses to open, and nothing was quite the right fit. And one night, Tim and my husband Keith were sitting around talking. Because we're all entrepreneurial in nature as well, our friend Tim actually has his own leadership consulting business. They thought, what would it be like to open an axe throwing venue for Beaver County, because we didn't have one, and we had the space for it. So we wanted a business that would actually bring people together and bring joy, and so we thought, why don't we give this a shot?
Now I'm thinking, you've got pickleball, you've got Frisbee golf, people play shuffleboard, all types of things.
Yes.
But axe throwing is unique. I can't imagine that there's another one in Beaver County or maybe in the Tri-County area.
So Leedsdale, the go-karting venue, they actually have axe throwing as well. So we have thrown there.
See, you just make my imagination run wild. I'm thinking about people riding around on go-karts and people throwing axes at them. As they're
Yeah,
going.
you can do both there. And then Cranberry was the next closest that we knew of. Lumberjaxes, which is a franchise,
Okay, yeah.
although they ended up closing 2 weeks after we opened. And so, yeah.
They like the competition.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how much of a threat we are, but yeah, they were there.
Okay, so you and your family actually were introduced to this.
Yes.
Your mom, your dad, your kids, teenage kids, and your husband and yourself.
Yes.
Is this a skill sport?
So it is. I mean, it's featured on ESPN.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think it may have started around 10 years ago in terms of coming into the mainstream and people being aware of it. So yeah, it is definitely a skill sport that has its own scoring and competition and things like that. Next week, we actually start our first league. So people are coming in to actually compete with each
Just
other.
like a bowling league.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So are these people from around Beaver County or around Allegheny, Beaver, Butler County that come?
Yeah, so the majority of our customers are definitely live in Beaver County, but we've also had people come from the Cranberry area because they can't go anymore to Lumberjaxes. And so, yeah, we do kind of get an assortment of people, but most are from Beaver County.
Just a short trip down the road from Cranberry
That's
to
true.
get here.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Okay, so I recently saw a post on your social media page that the Beaver County Chamber of Commerce did an event there.
Yes.
And it talks on your website, it talks about team building.
Yes.
I've been in organizations before where we had team building activities, and you do a 60-second or 30-second elevator talk to try and get interest, but team building in a way of having axe throwing. How does that work?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So corporate groups can rent our space, and some of them, they take a portion of time to have a business meeting. But also, as far as group building, we just feel like axe throwing is a way to kind of bond people together. And I think you're also able to talk about some group dynamics and principles when you do that type of activity. It's just a different way to get at those.
Give me an example of that. When you hit the bullseye, is that something in team building? They say, you're just a little bit off your mark, but if you do this, then, you can get the bullseye.
Yes, I think that could be part of it, but I also think working as a team as well could be incorporated into axe throwing. Really, that would be an avenue that our business partner, Tim, and my husband would actually know a lot more about. They have background as well in experiential education, so a lot of their professional career has been around working with groups. That's less my area of expertise, but yes, it is something that we can provide.
Yeah. So if an individual or a couple or a group of friends or a corporate group want to come in, walk us through the front door, coming in the front door. We see this, say, hey, you know what, this might be interesting to do. Make the phone call, and then what happens?
Yeah, great question. So there are different ways that people can participate. So the easiest way is actually to make a reservation online. So if you're a small group and you just want to come in and throw, you can make a reservation online. So we basically have 4 people per lane, and you just put down a $20 deposit, but that ensures that you get the time slot that you want and you can play. We also accept walk-ins, but the risk with that is that sometimes we don't have availability because we're full. So we do recommend the online reservation. And then the third thing, when people want to rent the entire space for their event, they can just contact us through the website, and we're able to set that up for them. And that's really great because really their entire group or family get the entire space to themselves. And we really wanted it to be a place that people would want to hold their events.
Yeah. You said lanes. How many lanes do you have?
We have 6 lanes in our place.
So it's like a small bowling alley again.
Right.
What does the lane look like?
The lane, so basically we've done some things that are a little bit untraditional. We've used like burned woodwork for our lanes. We also wanted it to be more of a lounge feel. So a lot of venues are more of a warehouse industrial feel, but we wanted ours to have more of a lounge feel. So we've done some unexpected things like accent and gold, and we've used mixed metals and things like that. So people are a little surprised when they come in. We have black and white photography our daughter took that features different locations around Beaver County because we wanted it to really highlight the location that we're in. But the lanes themselves, they are 12 feet from the throw line to the target and about 4 or 5 feet wide, each of them. And there are 4 on the back wall and then 2 that are across from it.
And do you have partitions or something to separate the 6 lanes? Because
Yes.
you wouldn't want someone errantly throwing it across the lane.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So there's fencing that's actually
Oh, okay.
between, and structures built between,
Yeah.
so that yes, you
Okay.
aren't having an issue with that.
So the idea, the concept in my mind, because I've never seen it, is you have haystacks there stacked up, and at the end you'd have a little mark with a bullseye on it and things like that, and you throw the axes. But no, that's not what it looks like.
Well, I think if you're maybe in an outdoor venue,
That's what I'm thinking,
you definitely can have some haystacks there. Ours isn't quite look like
Okay.
that, but yep.
Because I'm thinking you would do it at camp.
Yes,
Something
and
you would
people
do at a
have,
camp.
and some people grow up throwing axes because they do it in their backyard, or they've got a target built on a tree, or
Yeah.
so. Yep, you can do it that way too.
I bought my grandkids actually, a bullseye plastic thing at the
Yeah.
big box store.
Oh,
Where
sure.
they have plastic axes and stuff like that, and you throw it, and it kind of sticks into Velcro type things.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking
We
about?
have one of those as well. We take those to our events
Okay.
so that people can kind of get a feel for
Yeah.
throwing axes. But yes,
Okay.
that'd be like a kid version.
But what kind of axes are we talking about? Because most of us, if we have any experience with axes, it's chopping wood in the backyard or at the camp.
Right. So our place, we also have 3 styles of axes. We have a lightest axe that's about 1 pound, and it's a tomahawk shape. We have a medium weight axe that's more of a hatchet style, and then we have the bearded axe, which is 3 pounds and much larger and heavier. And so really it's nice because people have, based on their preference and throwing technique, they can choose which fits them best.
Okay, so the big one, that'd be the surly beaver you'd be talking about.
Yeah,
right?
definitely Surly Beaver's holding those.
You said a bearded axe because
Yes.
most lumberjacks have beards, right?
I
that
guess.
what
I
you're
mean,
talking
the
about there?
blade, I think, is called the bearded
Oh,
blade.
okay.
So maybe that's, what it's based on.
I am totally ignorant about axes. I know maybe a step more about axes than I do about guns, but
Yeah, right.
the idea of axes. And do you have to have any skills at all?
So most of the people who come to our venue have never thrown axes before, which I think just says a lot about people in Beaver County willing to be adventurous and take a risk. But most of the people who come have never thrown, and most are able to do it. And so we do spend time when you come. We go over some safety rules, but also we talk about throwing technique, and we coach. And so as you throw, if you're having issues, we kind of give guidance to help you be able to have success.
Okay. Technique. What do you have? Because again, we're just looking at it and I'm thinking, what's the technique? You have an axe and you just
Yeah.
throw it like that.
Right. Great question. There are different ways to throw. So you can throw 2-handed, and usually with that, it's straight over your head. But you can also throw one-handed. And some people like to stand statically when they throw, and then others like to take a step as they throw. So there are some options
Yeah.
when you throw axes.
Okay. I'm thinking the guy with the over the head. Does he have to wear a helmet?
He doesn't have to throw
Just
a
in
helmet,
case.
but no. But we do have rules, like you can't throw 2 at a time, or underhanded, or backward over your head. We go over all those things just to make sure.
There has to be an expert there somewhere, right? Because who would know if somebody's trying to throw an axe underhand?
Right. Yeah.
Why,
I mean,
why would you do that?
Well, that is a legitimate practice. It's just if someone comes in and, obviously knows what they're doing, then that would be one thing. But for most people, if they're just starting out, that's not recommended because, obviously that could, end up in the ceiling if it isn't thrown right,
Or
which
one
we
of
don't
their
want.
partners there.
Right.
And one would assume that men are more aggressive when they throw an axe. How do women adjust to this?
So the interesting thing about axe throwing is that it's not about how hard you throw. In fact, sometimes the harder you throw, the worse you do.
Sounds like driving in golf.
Right.
When you
Or
drive in a
tennis. Power is always the last
Yeah.
thing that you should focus on. Consistency and all of those things are more important. And that's true with axe throwing as well. So we do tell people, try not to throw it as hard as you can, but you need to throw it hard enough because it needs to actually get to the target.
Are you scoring this?
Yes, so we have a number of games, and there are 5 rings, and then the bullseye as well. And every ring has a different value. So it starts at 1 with the outermost ring, and then moves to 5, and then 6 points for the bullseye. And then there are a number of different games depending on what you're hitting.
And so, again, I'm using the analogy of bowling. So, like bowling, then you go through so many throws. Like in bowling, you've got what? 10 squares to fill.
Right.
And so with axe throwing, what is it? How long is a game?
Right. So it really depends what you're playing. We have a game 21, and that's more based on the number of points that you get and who can get them fastest. But we also have a game that's more precision based. So with Up and Down the River, you have to sequentially hit every ring starting with the outermost, move your way in, hit the bullseye, then work your way back out. So that game, it depends on how quickly people can actually hit those in sequence.
Okay, so around the river, you've all got this all taken care of then. You got to do all these in a step.
That's right.
To get it done.
Yep.
Now, the other one, 21, in my mind, I thought basketball, horse. And you might not know what that is.
Yeah,
but,
I do know horse.
Points as you go around the perimeter of the basketball court. So if first one gets to 21 wins. Right. Is it similar to that?
So this one, because it depends on what you're actually hitting, because everything has a different point value. So if you keep hitting bullseyes, you're going to hit 21 first. Yeah. So it just depends how good you are. And again, the accumulation of points to 21 is what will help you win that game.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I'm thinking if you go over 21, do you have to start back at 15 or?
Great question. We have both options. So it can either be whoever breaks 21 first wins, or like cornhole, where you have to hit it exactly. If you go over, you drop to 15, just like you said, and then work your way back to 21.
It's amazing. Everybody can do cornhole. Everybody can do these other sports, but not everybody can do axe throwing.
Oh, they can. Like I said, most people come and have success. So I would say not to be intimidated by it.
Is there a woman's tee? You know, like on a golf course, there's a woman's tee?
Right.
Do women have to throw from the same spot as men?
Right, they do. It's a 12-foot throw line, and that's also based on the rotation of the axe. 12 feet is determined to be what's needed in order for the axe to rotate one full completion to hit the target.
Okay. I was on your website, and can you give us a website address?
Yes, it's www.beavercountyaxethrowing.com.
I see the pictures on there, but I don't see any videos. Are there videos available to watch people do this?
So on our social media, we've taken a number of videos that showcase people throwing.
Oh, okay. And how many different teams have signed up to do this? Corporate teams or just friends?
Oh, wow. It would be hard to give the number off the top of my head because every month we have a number of corporate groups and birthday parties, bridal showers, bachelorette parties who have booked space with us. And so it's been terrific. We love it. And we love when people decide to spend their special occasion with us.
Do bachelors and bachelorettes get together in a particular lane or challenge each other?
So that's funny. Usually it's just the bachelors or the bachelorettes who come, and they usually rent the whole space. Okay. So those tend to be more lively than the other parties, but yeah, they're a good time.
And wow. Okay, I've got a lot of questions.
Yes, it's great.
Thank you. KRISTIE Martel is our guest. She's one of the owners of Beaver County Axe Throwing on Brighton Avenue in Rochester. And we'll continue the scoring right after this on the Best of Beaver County.
Amy, it's so good to see you.
Jennifer, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Is your mom doing any better?
Thank you for asking. I don't know if I can answer without being emotional. I'm sorry. I'm just tired and worried. I can't always be there for her, and it's so stressful.
I really understand. That's how I was with my dad. I'd recommend calling St. Barnabas. We did. We started with just having them come in for home care. He was so excited to see them show up. And when he needed more, we were able to move him in at Beaver Meadows, where he still has his own home-like space and excellent care.
Thanks for telling me that. I don't even know how to start, but I have to do something.
Oh, you can just give St. Barnabas a call. They have directors that can explain how it all works. Trust me, you'll feel so much better, and so will your mom.
I'm so glad I ran into you.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700 for care apart from the ordinary.
We're talking about axe throwing. We're not actually axe throwing, but we're talking about it because there's a new venue in Beaver County on Brighton Avenue in Rochester. Began last June of 2024, and it's been doing well. Beaver County Axe Throwing. KRISTIE Martel is one of the owners, and this takes some skill. Yes. I mean, it's a challenge, right? It's a challenging event.
It is, but very accessible. And I mean, we take anyone from the age of 12 up. So many people from all different ages, skill sets, can learn how to throw.
Are there people or groups who come there once and say, boy, I'm doing this again?
Yes, I would say most people who come are excited to come back and have come back, which is great.
Yeah. Now, you said 12 12 years old.
Yes.
And of course, when you first began, you talked about your children, teenagers, and your parents who are maybe 70s, 60s,
Yes,
70s. Okay, and they're all throwing from the same mark.
Yep.
Right? And they're all able to throw an axe, one axe or another, a little hatchet or, a full-size bearded axe.
Bearded
Is that
axe,
what you called it?
right.
12-year-olds, how do you get any 12-year-olds? Do people bring their kids?
We do. We definitely get kids. And that's nice for families, of course, who have kids, because then they're not hiring a sitter to watch the kids and things. So they all come together. And yes, we've had 12-year-olds who have success. 12-year-olds also come in all different shapes and sizes, but we find many have had success. We've had 13-year-old birthday parties, so they're all 13, and they're throwing great.
That could be dangerous. I don't know a parent out there that would say, yeah, let's get 13-year-olds together and give them some axes.
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, but we do provide all the safety precautions that are needed. So, yep, they have a good time.
Yeah, and as far as booking an event is concerned, how far in advance do you have to do this? Are you open 5 or 6 days a week or just on the weekends?
That's great, yeah. So we're open from Thursdays to Sundays, at least until summer. Summer we'll have different hours. But yeah, people can just go online, and usually the week of even, it's fine to go ahead and make your reservation. And you can make them further in advance as well.
And as far as, because of any kind of danger that may be involved. Now, you're going to tell me there's no danger involved at all, right? People go through a safety course beforehand.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And so we go through all of the safety rules to make sure that people are safe. And along with the throw line, we also have another line that's about 4 feet behind that. That's called the safety line. Anyone not throwing has to be behind that line at all times. Okay. So there's always sufficient distance between a thrower and everyone else. Yeah. Also, there's only one thrower per lane when they're throwing. And so to make sure that, again, there's enough safety and distance. The other thing we do is after you throw, you always set your axe down and let the other person pick up their axe, because that's actually where most axe throwing injuries happen, is when you're handing off axes. So we just make sure everyone sets them down and picks them up themselves.
How many axes do you have to choose from? I know the different types you said, but
right.
Is it like a bowling alley where you got to find the right fit for your fingers?
A great question. We have ledges that are on each lane, and we have each style of axe on the lane. So everyone, every time they throw, can just choose which style they want as they throw.
Okay. So we're dealing with sharp objects.
We are.
Very sharp objects.
Yes.
But you have bring your own bottle rules, right? It's a BYOB place.
It is. Also sounds counterintuitive to most people. But 80% of axe throwing venues actually have alcohol, and many have their own bars in the establishment. So we just have a rule that obviously you can't come visibly intoxicated. And if you become intoxicated to an unhealthy degree while you're with us, we obviously will ask you to leave. But it is only a 90-minute session. So we say, well, hopefully you can only do so much damage in 90 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, drunk at a bar, you've got a bouncer.
That's right.
Escort him out. If you got a guy with an axe and he's intoxicated.
That's right. That's not a good combo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but we find most people are very responsible with their alcohol, so we haven't even had a problem with that.
How has the borough of Rochester responded towards this because of things like that, or just the idea of its axes, the police department?
Yes, great question. So we have had an amazing relationship with the City Council of Rochester, and actually approached them initially with this idea. We needed their permission. And we walked through the vision and talked about the BYOB, and they were incredibly supportive. And they know about our safety rules and precautions, and were very willing for us to open our business. And many of them came actually when we had our ribbon cutting ceremony. The mayor actually cut the ribbon, and many of the members were there throwing axes with us, and so they've been amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And at this point in time, are there any plans to expand, or could this be like a business concept that other people would latch onto and say, "I want to be a part of this"?
Right. I don't know if we have plans for expansion at this point. I think since we're newer, we've really been trying to perfect this actual business itself. And we've just been really pleased with the reception so far.
Yeah. I also saw where you said it's a judgment-free zone.
Yes.
It's like golfing and you're used to slicing and or something else, and so everybody's going to make fun of you. Does your wife golf too, or those kind of things?
Yeah.
So tell me about this judgment-free zone.
Yeah, so it's very important for us that we're hospitable. And so by that we mean that everyone is welcome and accepted to come in. I mean, we've had people like with walkers come in, and we're also handicap accessible.
Yeah.
But the point being, we want it to be a safe place that people feel willing to take a risk and make themselves vulnerable and do something they've never done before. And we're very supportive and encouraging while they do it. And so we don't have, a gallery of people there to mock and laugh at anybody. We're just there to have a good time and help people.
God bless you for that. Because I'm thinking somebody coming in with a walker. I see people with walkers get into cars. I say, you can't walk. How are you driving?
Right.
You can't walk. How are you throwing an axe?
Yeah, you can, because you can stand still and throw it.
Yeah.
So that's what people do.
Yeah, so they set their walker aside and
Yep.
they're kind of swaying back and forth.
Yeah, as long as they have some stability, they can throw.
Now, how far is that? Did you say how far? 12 foot?
12 feet.
12 feet.
Yes.
So that would be about from here to there. So
Yep.
pretty much anybody could hit
Yeah.
a target that's 12 foot.
Yep.
What about the people who move? What's the back wall? Because like at a dart, if you're at a place with a dartboard, you're going to see little pinholes in the wall because they've missed the target.
Yeah.
What about axes?
So we have freestanding axes actually that are like bolted into the ground. And so everyone is pretty much hitting the target itself because it's quite large. And then if you don't, we have like the backstop that you're hitting instead. So we're not denting like drywall or anything if you're missing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And coaching. I mean, what do your partners have to know to coach people to do this?
Yes, so that took some time for us to actually get a handle on, because it's one thing to show people, instruct people how to throw, but it's also a different thing to watch someone throw and figure out what are they doing wrong that the axe isn't sticking. So we've had to learn, okay, well, we think they're twisting their wrist, or they're under rotating, or they're over rotating. And that's something that over time we've been able to, decipher better.
Oh, okay. Because if it's off just a little bit, it's
Yep.
going to hit the floor.
That's if the blade is twisted a little bit, it won't stick into the axe. The other great thing about our place that's a little bit different is that our targets themselves are actually end grain targets. So many places use long cottonwood boards, but we actually use 6x6 pressure treated end grain targets. And so the axes actually have an easier time sticking. And we find that people tell us they have more success at our place sometimes than other places. Now, those types of targets also require more maintenance, but we find, again, it lends to more positive customer experience. And so for us, it's worth it.
How sharp is the axe?
Quite sharp. We do sharpen them because obviously that also helps them
ice
stick
skating.
better. You're right.
Yeah.
So, yep, they are quite sharp.
Okay. And is this succeeded beyond your imagination? This idea of axe throwing. When you first brought the idea and you got the partners on board,
Right.
Did you think, within a year, you've been doing this since last June.
Right.
How's it doing as far as you're concerned?
That's a great question. I think that's one of the most interesting things about opening a business is that there are so many unknowns and uncertainties. We really weren't sure how this would go because it's something we haven't seen yet in Beaver County. It's something recreational. It's something that requires money from people, but also because we're BYOB, we think that also makes it a lot more accessible. So I would say because we opened in the summer, this is less of a summer activity. So summer was definitely slower. But once fall, winter picked up, it definitely got a lot busier. So we're not quite where we want to be as far as our goals, but I think we're very pleased with where we've gotten at this point.
Do you find that it's mostly word of mouth? That people come and they do it, the groups that you're talking about, whether it's corporate or bachelorette parties, that they tell somebody else and then you get the business that way?
Great question. So we've done a lot of advertising through Facebook. So that has primarily been where we have found some marketing success. We also just put a billboard up on Route 65 that ran through January, and it's still up now. So some people have seen that. I think word of mouth has been very big. So anyone who's come, our hope is that they're sharing it with their sphere of influence. And most people who come, we always ask how they found out about us. And some of them may have heard there's an axe throwing place, but they don't know where it is, so they Google it, and then they see us, and then they come.
Only people sounds like not welcome are axe murderers.
Yeah, we'd prefer they not come.
And is it possible for you to, do something to your rotator cuff or, bicep or something as you're throwing? Are you throwing that long in a 90-minute game?
Right. So we have not heard of any injuries necessarily, but soreness that could actually happen if you're not used to that type of motion and you do it for 90 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
KRISTIE, we're just about out of time.
Okay.
How would you encourage other people to find your website or find out more about Beaver County Axe Throwing?
Yes, so I would say definitely through our website that we mentioned earlier. If you Google axe throwing, our venue should pop up. But we just encourage anyone who hasn't tried it to give it a try. It's so much fun. It's a chance to get off your screens and have a great time with friends and family.
It's certainly something different to do in Beaver County.
It is, yeah.
That's for sure. And can you bring food in? I know you have catering
Yes, you can also
partners.
bring food. We have some snacks and drinks for sale, but you can also bring your own food. People who have events usually have them catered, and so they can bring all of that in.
And on your website, do you have the prices listed for depending on whether it's 2 people or 4 people or 8 people?
Right, so it's $25 a person.
Okay.
And you just put a $20 deposit down per lane that you reserve.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Phone number and website once again.
Phone number, I don't have memorized
Okay,
actually,
that's all
but www.beavercountyaxethrowing.com.
That's where people get the information anyway.
It is.
Yeah. Beaver County Axe Throwing. Are those shirts available?
They are.
Yeah.
They're
so
for
when
sale.
you go and do that, you can get
You can get a shirt.
Okay.
Get your own surly beaver.
something we all look forward to.
That's right.
KRISTIE Martel, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for
being with
having
us.
me. I appreciate it.
Beaver County Axe Throwing is the place on Brighton Avenue in Rochester. And it's nice to see Rochester thriving, and it's nice to see businesses coming to Brighton Avenue. It was once a very busy thoroughfare. Glad to see it's coming back again. That's KRISTIE Martel from Beaver County Axe Throwing. I'm Mike Romai on the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
Thank you for listening to the Best of Beaver County. St. Barnabas is pleased to have provided content and sponsorship for the program. Tune in this Sunday at 11:30 for an encore presentation of today's program on Beaver County Radio. And next Thursday at